There's another saying that fit my friend the Bruiser. And it's that old saying, live by the sword and die by the sword. Brother, he lived by the sword.
Frank did not lack any ingredient to being a star, and that's the reason he was a mega star and a legendary star.
Bruce Brody was one of the most vicious men I've ever seen in a wrestling ring.
Tough as nails, wild as a buck. You wrestle him, you never knew what to expect.
Bruce Brody was the wave of a new era.
One of those great, memorable characters that no creative team, no booking committee, no brain trust of creative guys could ever manufacture. He was an original.
He was a real big name that, like in every place that he went, he was a main eventer instantly.
In the ring, he was a violent man.
If he didn't like you, he'd beat you to death. And he had a reputation for being really rough.
He really intimidated not only the audience, but it looked like the people he was wrestling too, whoever was with him,
Brody didn't care. He did what he wanted, held him up, and they hated him. But he drew money.
So he was a rebel. Not many guys would do that. There's a few guys who would argue, but they wouldn't go quite as far as Frank would.
That was his problem. He was not afraid to speak up. And that's why he was known as the rebel and difficult to do business with.
He embodied not only in the ring, but out of the ring, that outlaw spirit that professional wrestling, to me, is really about. And in good and bad ways, but he was like, you did not mess with him.
For a big man who could do what he was doing and move and had that it factor, and he commanded your attention, and he was good.
The greatest independent guy, for sure. He made a really good living out of being an independent and catering to nobody.
He was a legend.
Sooner or later, something's gonna happen that you ain't gonna have no control over.
I've devoted my whole entire life, from 15 years old to what I am right now, to the wrestling world. And there's not a damn thing that I regret.
What Harley is he's a student of hard knocks.
One of the toughest guys to ever lace up a pair of boots.
Harley commanded a lot of respect and got it.
Harley Race.
Hell of a world champion, a gentleman, and a guy who brought a lot of class to the belt and to the business.
Move for move, hold for hold, without question. He's the smartest guy in the ring, and probably the best.
Great in-ring performer. And whenever I say great, he was one of the all-time greatest.
I would say Harley Race was the greatest champion ever.
He was no nonsense.
Whatever you've heard about anybody smarting off to Harley Race, it didn't happen.
Night after night came in and had an incredible match, and he was taking those slams on the floor and the backwards bump over the top rope.
Harley would sacrifice his body.
One of the greatest professional wrestlers I ever saw in my life. A performer who was able to be so strong and so capable, he would have the audience right here.
Harley Race's legacy, the world's fastest beer drinker, world's fastest car driver, world's greatest everything. And I'll tell you what, I think he is.
You're looking, talking, and listening to the greatest wrestler on the face of God's green earth. whether it's now, before, or after, it's me.
Jim Crockett Sr. was a guy who loved the wrestling business. He really loved his audience.
He built the Mid-Atlantic. He had a good reputation everywhere he went, Mr. Crockett Sr.
Pro wrestling here in Charlotte, which at one time was probably the strongest sporting event in Charlotte. Before the Bobcats or Panthers or Hornets, it was Jim Crockett Promotions.
The turnstiles were clicking like crazy.
It was a money territory.
Blackjack Mulligan, Wahoo McDaniel, Super Destroyer, Ricky Steamboat, and of course Wahoo McDaniel, who brought in Ric Flair, a young Ric Flair. The biggest guy who made the difference was Johnny Valentine.
George Scott could almost see things before we could even see them, the fans.
George's time was pretty much up. He and Crockett were drifting apart.
At that point in time, we were as hot as you could possibly be.
When you were on that nationwide TV, oh yeah, it was the hottest thing you ever seen. I mean, buddy, we sold out everywhere.
Clearly being the world champion with Crockett on a roll, you know, different belt and all that, different stuff going on, but it was still, it's hard to deny those 2 or 3 years as being the biggest of my career.
Mercedes. There were more big cars in the parking lot of Jim Crockett's promotion than Vince McMahon had ever seen in one time. Everybody had a Porsche, everybody had Mercedes. I mean, we were rolling in money. We had 2 planes, we had a jet. This is Charlotte, North Carolina, man.
Jim Crockett had the money, we had the territory, he had the talent, Dusty had the genius, and it all just worked.
Out of Charlotte to Chicago to Baltimore to Philadelphia, we were kicking everybody's ass.
We were on a roll. We were hot. And we were throwing money everywhere. We were making money. We were partying. We were flying. But it ended. It ended for us.
Jimmy was trying to do too much. A little bit of it was Dusty's fault. And we also had, from what I understand, a very corrupt accountant.
Whoever was doing the bookkeeping was doing a lousy job. I think Jimmy should have kept tab on what was going in, coming in, what was going out, and I don't think he did.
There was $11 million in the hole.
I don't think ultimately anybody told Jimmy what to do financially.
If Dusty didn't do what he did, it wouldn't have been what it was.
There's still people still mad that Crockett, had went out of business, and they just missed that wrestling.
Promotions come, promotions go.
Don't give up. Don't give up. Fight forever. Don't give up. Fight forever. Don't give up. Fight forever. Fight forever and ever and ever and ever.